Can we start? I can't hear anyone, but I'm assuming that we can start.
Yes, shall we start?
Okay. Are you just introduce me? Okay. Let me share my screen here, and thank you everyone for for joining this session. Just give me a minute that I'm going to also to record here. And share my screen. Yeah, hello everyone. As I was presented, I'm open source consultant from Microsoft, and I've been working with all that containers and Kubernetes space for a long time. And this presentation today, if you want to follow what I'm doing, just follow my Twitter. Probably that's the easy ways to follow what I'm doing. And I want to keep in touch with, all the Go developers, as Go is the main language for the Kubernetes ecosystem. And that's the way that if we connect, I can help, the Go developers to get involved with the open source community. Microsoft is sponsoring and is helping many projects on that space, and I'm happy to be that bridge between anyone that want to help and contribute with those projects. I'm happy to be this person, and just please ping me anytime. I'm also have one channel called Azureta, where we have a few videos here, and the whole idea is to get new speakers and do mentoring and sponsorship for new speakers. And if you want to help and collaborate any subject on technology related to cloud or Azure or development, there are videos here in English and Portuguese. If you want to do videos in another language, just ping me and I'll be more help. And also, if you want to write blogs, you are more than welcome to join us as a new speaker on the community, or even as a mentor, as we have a few mentors here. That's not that's something for the community, and we have like 15 speakers so far, and the number is growing. Okay, please join both this channel and follow what we're doing. The talk today is about CNCF, and let me open the page here. I don't have slides. Why I don't have slides? Because the main idea here is to onboard this community, the Golang developers, on what's happening around the Kubernetes space, as Go is the main language for Kubernetes. Then if you guys go on the CNCF website, I think that's the first thing you have to understand. What's CNCF? Okay. Then CNCF is part of the Linux Foundation. Okay, it's a non-profit organization, part of the Linux Foundation, and was created exactly for cloud native technology. I think over time, over 20, 30 years, technology, reinvent itself, and cloud native space is exactly like a new cycle happening in the last 5 years or so, a little bit more. And cloud native compute foundation is exactly covering that space. Okay, if you're following things like KubeCon, all those conferences, that's exactly what cloud native is helping with. We had one KubeCon 2 weeks ago, I think. And let me just open here to show that KubeCon from 2 weeks ago. But the main idea to come here is look at the projects. Okay, come here and see contribute. You can look what you can help. That's the first thing. And you can see all the projects that are graduated, because a foundation is pretty much, onboarding new projects, sandbox projects, new ideas to sponsor those projects. Okay. I want to be a maintainer, you can go here. I want to be a contributor, you can go here. And that's how you start to understand what kind of project I can help. Okay, we're not going to be able to talk even close to these things. We're going to talk a little bit about Kubernetes and all the projects around the Kubernetes space, but Cloud Native Compute Foundation is more than that. I like Containerd project, Envoy proxy, Helm was started for Microsoft and now was donated for the foundation. Now it's public. There's a few projects here that you probably are using in your daily base, Prometheus, Open Policy Agent now, Jaeger for tracing. I'm pretty sure if you look here around Argo CD, you probably even didn't know that was part of CNCF. Those are new projects now pretty much coming around the cloud native. And I hope that you follow this website and you see what's coming, the new projects. You can also look for the sandbox projects, and those are the main ones. And if you go on the CNCF events, and you're going to see a lot of talks. See the last KubeCon Europe 2 weeks ago, you can see 228 talks. And if you go here, you can pretty much find anything. Okay, I just open a couple of projects that you can follow. Let's open some here for you to see. And sorry, I had to restart my browser. Let me go here. I want to be a... Let me just close here. It was playing on my background, but you can see that you can have talks about the C groups if you want to be a contributor. That's a talk like from 2 weeks ago. Then it's very fresh. You can have talks about like Containerd. That's one of the projects, like introduction to. I really recommend it. You can have talks about the other C groups as well, and these ones about the the Kubernetes API. So you can find a lot of talks here on that playlist, and I recommend you pick the projects that you are interested from here. Okay, from that graduated list, just pick the projects that you are interested to help and to participate, or even to understand more, and watch some of those videos. Okay, that's the first thing. I'm going to play a video from one of the maintainers from Microsoft. That says here. That's I promise, on Twitter. But before that, let me try to find some reference here. And Cecile is going to talk on the video about those Slack channels here. If you have Slack, all the Kubernetes pretty much have groups on Slack, and you can follow those groups. And let me bring her video here for a second. Okay, looks like you can hear. Let me see if I can. If I can change here. That's a good point. Anyone knows how to share the audio from your system? Or it would be nice if you could show this. Let me try here. Yeah, anyone knows if I can share the audio from my system here? Anyone can microphone? Okay, I hope can you hear me back now. I don't think I'll be able to show that because I can't see any option to share here. But it's pretty much I can open. It's a shame I can publish this video and you guys can watch later. Okay. Let me. Yeah. What yeah, what Cecile is showing is the community around Kubernetes. If you open GitHub Kubernetes Community, you're going to see all the projects that's part of the Kubernetes project itself. See all those SIGs mean special interest group. Okay, Cecile is part of some of those projects, and pretty much she's working on the cluster lifecycle. And if you open the cluster lifecycle here, that's the best way to start. Okay, you go on the Kubernetes community, you look all the SIG projects that you have. You even have explained how the governance of those projects work. Okay, you can click on contributing, and or you go on like a specific project inside Kubernetes, like the cluster lifecycle. And inside the class lifecycle, you're going to see that you have sub projects. Okay, class API is one of the sub projects, and all the providers are, all the sub projects. Cecile works on the class API and class API provider for Azure. You can see class API is a way to create Kubernetes clusters using Kubernetes itself. It's like an operator for Kubernetes, where from that software running on Kubernetes, you can create all the Kubernetes clusters. And you can create those clusters anywhere, depending of the providers. They have providers for all the clouds, for bare metal. And if you go on the provider for Azure, that's a project where Cecile is working. You can find more details here, and you can even see the versions and how to participate on that specific one, because you're not going to be able to do all of them. Okay, you have to decide each one is going to help, and starting from the CNCF, go here, pick one, If you decide to go inside, look inside Kubernetes, then you go on the Kubernetes Community, you pick some projects from here, and you start following. Another way, if you go on these, you can see there is Slack channels that I was opening to show there. On my Slack, you can see Cluster API for Azure. Okay, go and follow all those. You can see Helm, you can see Cluster API, you can see, Cube Spray, Minikube, you have see Windows. There's a lot of things you can follow. You can add channels. If you add channels, you can see there's a lot of things here. And the Cluster API for Azure is there. You can discuss, you can ping, the team here, not someone specifically. Go and ask help. But before that, do your homework. Come, look the code, try to understand. For the Cluster API itself, I'm going to try to record something with Ceci with explaining more in details how that specific project works. Okay, she's part of the Kubernetes upstream at Microsoft that work with all those projects related with Kubernetes. Okay, and then if you let me try to show the documentation for that. Okay, the documentation for the Cluster API. Because many times you have to go and dig on those documentations to understand how those projects work. Okay, and then one way you can go on the book. I was look for the book. You see, that's the Cluster API provider for Azure. That's a book explaining everything about that specific one. Okay, how to get started, development as well, Kubernetes development. All those projects, they have like a book, what they call book. If you go back for the Cluster API itself, let's go Cluster API lifecycle, and then Cluster API. You can see here the owners, you can see the meetings. You can even open the recordings of the meetings and the notes. Look how much information you can have here. You can have the meetings that they have. You can watch the recording and watch all the notes. There you go. You can see all the notes of the project. Means that you can understand what's going on, what the development, all the backlog. And then if you go on a specific project like Cluster API, and you go on issues, I'm going to publish this SEO, but she's explaining how you get started. Click here on the good first issues. Okay, you don't have many, then go and try to fix those ones. Okay, open one of them. Normally it's a single line to fix, or something simple. Then just try and assign something for you. If another way to look is go for the closer. Okay, try to find a good first one that was done before by someone, and look the steps. See, Cecile said that was a good first issue. Then someone came and said assign for himself. Then he came in and created like a pull request. Then if you open this pull request, you can see that he just changed one file. Yeah, he just fixed something. He just create the PR. Because he's he's a new contributor, someone is going to do a review, say okay for test. That's going to trigger the CI/CD. That's going to build. Once everything's good, looks good to me, approve, then it'll be merged. Okay, be running everything again, and end to end, and it's going to be merged. Okay, in some stage, and then see that's one's mesh. And that's a good way to understand, is looking for the past and try to understand what was done by someone, and you follow the same steps. If you get stuck, Okay, go and look the notes. And also, I think the main advice is go for the book. Okay, go for this book and try to understand development, how the development environment works, setup, store goal. It's a lot of information here to get started, okay? And that's per project. That's just cluster API. That's for Azure, okay? Another thing, if you find something that you think that's not working, and you can do pull requests to fix that documentation as well. Okay, you can collaborate fixing and improving this documentation here. I think that's a good start, in any of those projects. And what I'd like to do is follow as well, the Slack. And once you pick one or two projects, don't try to help all those things, okay? Just pick one or two projects that you wanted to start understanding and start follow all the meetings. Go on the recordings here maybe and watch the last two or last three to try to understand exactly where the project is. And try to find a project where, there is not too many contributors at the moment. Like Helm project is one of the project people are looking for new contributors, and there's a new version, Helm 4 coming, and you can follow Helm. I like Helm here. If you look Helm dev or Helm users, those two groups here. Okay, I recommend because there's a new starting planning Helm version 4 now, and that's a good timing to get involved. And all the recordings are here. You can just watch and you can really understand what's going on. Okay, I have done that myself a few times, and then you start, talking on Slack with people, try to understand how each one of those projects that you want to start, helping, and just digging. If you go for a specific one, like Kubernetes Class API on Azure, you can, go for the documentations, and you should have get the instructions. I'm just going slowly here for you guys to understand, but if I go here, and you normally have a file here contributing, where you have to understand what you have to do to get it started and understand how the project works. Okay, I have, for example, these I'm using something called GitHub Codespace that I hope you guys have used that before. Okay, on GitHub, you now have something called, if you go here on your GitHub, there's something called Codespace. That's Visual Studio Code hosted by GitHub. It's in preview, you can even have access for free. And then once you create one new space, you can just open on your local Visual Studio as well. Then that's what I did. That Visual Studio here is connected with GitHub. Then everything's running on GitHub Codespace. I'm just connecting because Visual Studio Code is just like a web application. And at the moment, I'm just restarting my environment. And the nice thing of that, you can have multiple. See this one here, if I change my machine type, I'm using one 4 CPU, 8 gigabytes of memory. I can have any kind of different size, and I can create multiple. And I just pay for, now it's in preview, it's free, but probably be paid by just usage, how long you're using. If you stop, pay. See, that's, I have Class API project here open. And see, Class API code is just Go code. If you are a Go developer, it's not going to be hard. There are some specific things, but you can find, they have a lot of, on the Azure service, they have the interface. They're using a lot of clients because that's class API. They call all the Azure Go SDKs, and they use some of kind of client interface for each of those servers. Let's say class API is going to create a Kubernetes cluster anywhere. In this case, it's going to create on Azure, and you can see going to create load balancers, you're going to create public IPs. It's like Kubernetes creating Kubernetes, and could be creating on Azure, on AWS, on any cloud, or even bare metal. It's a very interesting project if you want to get involved. Testing probably will be an easy way to get started. They're using Go mock. You can see a lot of inline functions here to anonymous functions. It's a very nice way even to learn Go if you are starting. Learn the right way to write Go code. Okay, I like Git, because you can see that that's not running on my machine. That's running on GitHub. And then if I do a top, you can see my the 4 cores and 8 gig of memory that I have. And I even have on this one, I even have a Kubernetes cluster running inside that. Then if I say get all, that's Kubernetes cluster. I have class API running here, everything inside the Codespace. And you can see they have the class API pods deployed on this cluster, and that's running inside the Codespace. Okay, that's using something called, I'm using K3D here, K3D list, I think, K3D, and you can see K3D cluster list. So you have a cluster. I can create multiple Kubernetes clusters using K3D and K3S. It's just Docker. If you can see, there's Docker here. Is Docker running there? All running on GitHub Codespace, not my machine. That's a very nice way to develop because you don't have to change your local environment. We just, hide everything that you're using on GitHub, and you can create multiple of those things. I hope you guys enjoy if you haven't used that yet. Let me see questions here first. Can you drop links? Will Kubernetes core change with Golang generics? That's a good question. That's a good question. If you don't know, Golang is going to, next version probably will be coming with generics. And the question is, are we going to, refactor all the code to use generics now? I don't know, maybe it takes some time. And that's a good question. I have to wait and see. I can see that, they're following a lot of things, and, with the new Go versions coming. But it's a good question. What do you guys want to use from generics? If you look this code, what do you propose? And I think that's something you can even help if you are interested, try to say, can I refactor that using generics when that comes? And it's coming soon, I think. That's a good thing that you can propose. And there will be a lot of refactoring to be done. Simplifications using generics, and where you can use that. If you have experience with Go and you can, propose, I think it's a good timing for that. But I would go to starting, if you don't know Kubernetes or if you don't know the cloud native, try to understand those projects. And if you have any questions around, some of those projects, Helm is one of them. Helm is a package management for Kubernetes, help with all the deployments and package. Envoy proxy and containerd is pretty much the library that manage how the containers run. Was created by Docker and is open source. And if you go on GitHub here, you can even now, if you don't using containerd, Kubernetes pretty much using only containerd, and containerd abstracts all the, I think you have, yep, that's a nice way to show. See, it's a library that talks and manages image containers, container snapshots, and pretty much calls the runtimes that we run C, all the container runtimes. It's all managed by containerd. It's all, is like a, let's say, high level library to manage container image containers and call the container runtimes. Then abstracts all that for us. It's a nice project to follow. I like some sub projects here from containerd, and let's see if we can see sub projects. .NET is one of them, because you can see we are inside containerd, but if you go back for containerd, there are sub projects. Containerd is like the core one. I like this one. Is a command line now for containerd. Let's pretty much replace the Docker command line, but just for containerd, okay? And then there's a new project, and if you want to participate and collaborate, is a nice one, okay? It's just a command line for the containerd, and you pretty much can do the same thing that Docker command line does. Okay, those are the main two ones, the CRY and what I mean, don't get lost on these things, okay? Focus on something that you really want to help and try to help. I'm going to publish the SSU video. It's like 8 minutes, and just if you follow us here on the Azureta, I'm going to try to publish parts of this talk and SSU. I think SSU will be nice because she's explained some things. And now I want to be the person being, the bridge between any developers that want to help and those teams. If you are lost, and just ping me, okay, and let's connect. I'm happy to connect with like 2 or 3 people, and we try to get one pull request and try to make this done and get started. Let me see here, question. Why most of cloud native tools are written in Golang? That's a good question. And Kubernetes was written, was started at Google and was written in Go. And then all the ecosystem around, Kubernetes start using Go. I think that's the main reason, but probably Go is a very, as Go developers, you guys know what, Go can bring for command line, for backend, for APIs, and everything that we develop for Kubernetes is around that, is around, operators. If I go back to my code here, and you can see what I was showing before. See, that's all those things here, cap, class API, all those components are Go code running, a small piece of, like, could be a controller, could be something else. But if you look here, pretty much everything was done in Go. And that's not going to change anytime. Nobody's going to move away from Go. And, the Go concurrency, there's a way to compile for multiple platforms and everything. I think there is a way. Rusty, there's another question about why not Rusty. And I think Rusty is growing very fast, and I think could be another language to watch. Microsoft is investing a lot on Rust, and I think Go and Rust will be, is not the language, but I come from C#, from many other languages, have done in many languages in my life. And I think for, API backend developing Go is so easy to get started. And don't get afraid to, to participate. Even if you are, a newbie starting with Go, we start with developing. That's a good way to start learning. And please, if you have experience with Go, get engaged with the community and help, because so many things that can be done. And I have if you look the community, there are people that started just helping in open source projects, now working for big companies and helping big project, big goals, and And that's what I'm trying here. I'm going to record this thing in Portuguese. I'm originally from Brazil. I live in Melbourne, Australia. And if you guys want to do the same, let's connect. You can do create local groups, just connect with like 2 or 3 developers that you are, friends of, and try to sit together and try to understand one specific project and see how it can help. I think, I don't know how much time we have left, and let's see more questions here. Yeah, I think there are new Go developers on the public today, and or maybe watching where Go can be used. I think Go can be used, anything that would be background process or API, and it's just growing. I think people using even for other things, front ends, maybe, but I believe it'll be more for backends, APIs, and CLI, to write a CLI or HTTP or something so easy in Go. And even .NET now, we trying to bring that simplicity to .NET as well. We'll be release something called further, HTTP, exactly following what those, Go is doing. And with like 5 lines of code, you can just deploy a HTTP server. And that simplicity, and then, how powerful Golang is, I think will be there and can be used for many, many, many things. But I would recommend, you to understand a little bit. If you want to help on that CNCF, you have to understand Kubernetes, because everything is related to that microservice and Go. And just digging on Go, try to understand some, main projects and how those things works, because most of the thing runs as operators inside Kubernetes. Okay, Kubernetes is the main orchestrator of the cloud, and even now platform as a service that are abstracting Kubernetes, but behind the scene on the cloud servers on bare metal, there is always a Kubernetes cluster or orchestrator running there, and those applications will be running. Is good to understand how those things work, but don't get overwhelmed. Focus on something and start following these on those channels, GitHub, Slack, and watch those videos from the KubeCon. There is a new KubeCon coming soon as well, and okay, that's more than enough for you to get started. And just dig on the code. I would go and forget about everything, dig on the code, on the developer instructions, and try to learn. And don't expect like perfection. There is no open source code with perfection. Don't go on like Slack on and create shoes to complain about how people wrote code. There is no point for that. Okay, nobody's going to enjoy that. Just try to help. It's not about being perfect. Okay, you don't know. Maybe this code was written like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and okay, just try to help something. Don't start just pointing problems, and okay, try to find things where you can start helping and understand why things was done like that. As any project, after 2, 3, 4 years, there are a lot of flags there. Okay, and if there are, just ask there is any planning to do a refactoring on that or anything, but be nice, and because everyone here is helping. Some are being paid by big companies, but some are just helping on their free time, just because they really want to see the things going and they want to learn how to work on these big projects. When starting out with Kubernetes contribution, what are common pitfalls to keep in mind? Yeah, the pitfalls are like that, is you get lost. You get lost with so many projects, you get lost with a lot of code. Focus on 2. Don't try to be, the clever guy telling everyone that they're doing wrong things. Just try to pick something simple, start helping, start understand why they're doing like that, and don't just give up. Okay, there is too many people helping here. Try to find your space. Try to find people or groups where you starting enjoy or making relationship. And if you start loading, people are going to give you space if you really helping and be following the sessions, the office hours that they have. Let me open here. You can see the meeting notes and the agenda here as well. Then follow the dates. You can see here the next Codespace API for Azure is every Thursday, 8 o'clock, okay, on the Pacific time. And if it's okay in your time zone, try to follow. If not, watch the recordings and try to follow what's going on. Look in the notes, and that's, I think, the main one. And I see people just go there and say open issue and say this code is rubbish or something, and just what's the point? Okay, there's no point for that. There's a lot of people here, donating time. Sometimes, if you are a very good contributor, people even donate Hub on your GitHub. We can ask donations. That happened recently with, Kada. Kada is another project that I really like. And then if you go, people starting help Kada, Kada core, I think. Okay, that probably. Sorry. Not that one. Sorry. But Kada is like the serverless for Kubernetes. That's very much Azure function running on any Kubernetes clusters. And people ask help. If people donate money for the developers when they're really helping as well. I'm not saying that's going to happen with you, but there is opportunities everywhere. And I have seen many developers starting helping and getting jobs after that, or even getting money donated for them, directly to them or for the project that they helping. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what I have for today. And please keep following us and see. I'm going to record some videos with Kada team, with the Cluster API team, and let's show you the main projects. I'm going to be, Cluster API for Azure, Helm, and I'm going to record. We can maybe even come back and bring someone here. I can bring someone on this meetup, but please follow what I'm doing. And if you want to get connected and you can't, for some reason, just ping me and I can try find someone to help you. And that's the CADA project I was talking about. Okay. I would recommend, if you like Windows, just seek Windows as well. And if you are a Linux Golang developer, just go like serverless. I recommend CADA. And if you like Kubernetes, go and follow these Kubernetes projects, Helm and Cluster API, okay, and Containerd maybe. Okay, the Kubernetes project itself is too big, be hard to start helping directly on the Kubernetes project. It's possible on the main project, I mean, but try to follow on those, sub projects and try to see how image build is another one related with Cluster API. But that's pretty much how I recommend you to get started. Yep, someone just put here the link. Thank you for that. Okay, that's nice. Thank you for that. Then yeah, see,
Thank you very much, George.
Is very dedicated, and people recently, contributed money for him, even for him to keep running those tests and to keep, this platform running. and it's pretty much established all containers. But I think we got to the end, and if you have any questions more, let me know. If not, thank you for attending.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you for everyone who attend to today's Golang Srinagar meetup. Bear with us for more info from us. Thank you again. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.